Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2012 episode review. This one's going to be for Season 4, Episode 10, Transdimensional Turtles. And yeah, this was a fun episode. I think that's the best thing to say. It wasn't super plot focused, though I think they managed to do a few little things with the plot, which was a bit of a surprise. But overall, it was just, a fun episode, a lot of dimension swapping. We have the return of the original, like, late 1980s, early 1990s Turtles from the original show. We got to see a little bit of, like, the comic book Turtles, but, just a lot of dimension swapping, kind of fun. I'll say straight away that I have very little connection to the original Turtle show, just because I've seen a lot of episodes of it, but I don't particularly think it's that good. And I liked how this episode actually just flat out didn't treat them too seriously, and in fact made fun of them a lot for being quite cheesy, the fighting not being that great, and just in general that yeah, this is a kind of older show. We've advanced a lot. I would have liked to have seen, and maybe in the future, potentially see some sort of crossover with the 2003 show. Now, there's probably some sort of a problem there because of the TV channel that the 2003 show aired on, and maybe they can't do that now. But Nickelodeon, technically, I think they own the license to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles full stop, so I don't see how that should really be a problem anymore, and that there was a reference to the newer movie continuity with the Megan Fox reference, and stuff like that. But definitely the 2003 show is probably the one where most of my Turtles fandom, I suppose, comes from, and then it was this show, of course. So, interesting episode for sure. It was I was a little bit initially just kind of really, that's your explanation? That for this episode to happen, the way we're going to frame it in terms of how they get off their ship and their quest is just that they are sucked. All four of them are specifically targeted and sucked into the original Turtles universe dimension. And it's just oh, okay, so this is just going to be a fun episode where we completely ignore the plot and we'll just go on with this. It was fun to see them interact, though I almost think that things got so complicated with the dimension swapping at the end, that most of the episode, the writers were trying to keep what dimension they're in straight. This kind of plot about these dimensional thingy-mabobs that really weren't explained all that well. That the actual interactions between the turtles there wasn't actually that much screen time with them really interacting. They had a few little moments where each of the turtles were compared with their kind of similar counterpart, in that the way they did it was that the original turtles were always called themselves by the full name Leonardo, Michelangelo, whereas the newer turtles were Leo, Mikey, Donnie, and stuff like that. And it was one. I think the main standout between them was definitely the voice acting, in that one or two of the original Turtles aside, the new Turtles, in terms of the quality of the voice acting, the quality of the dialogue that they're given, is miles better than the original Turtles. And going back to what I said at the very start, I like that they just didn't hold back and just completely made fun of the old Turtles for some of the really silly stuff, there's a little joke at the start about, why do you have the leather on your belts and stuff like that? Why don't you ever use your weapons when you fight? And towards the very end of the episode, they did start to use their weapons, but they weren't very effective at all. You could tell that they were making fun a little bit of the fact that they were so rigid and stuff like that. Whenever they did attacks, it was this kind of stock attack. I think at one point Leonardo just did a direct jump up and started going just chopping with the swords, whereas the animation in the new show is so fluid. It just really outshone the original stuff. And I think the funniest scene was definitely the way the original Turtles took down Krang in their dimension, and just the kind of really silly thing that they did, their weapons, they only ever used them on random objects. They don't ever actually hurt people with them, and how their big attack on Krang was to basically trip him up. They fire water at him, make him trip up. That was it. And the other turtles are just like, that was really lame, because they're so used to just attacking people, like a lot of stabbing, slicing going on. Huge difference. The big positive for this episode is definitely the visuals. I really liked seeing the 2012 Turtles in the older Turtles universe. Just the return to that traditional animation style was really great to see, because a lot of Western shows that are coming out right now are CG, and I don't mind CG at all, but seeing a show with like high quality like 2D traditional animation is just really great to see, and this worked like really well. The designs for the new turtles looked really cool, to the point where I'm just like, I'd actually like to see just like an episode of TMNT 2012 where, without having to have some time travel plot, you just have the animation style be 2D, just to see how it would work, because it allowed for a lot more kind of, I think, style, just in that you had that traditional style. Then we also got to see the original Turtles with the 3D models coming into the 2012 Turtles universe, and that was pretty fun as well, just to see, I suppose, get more, a little bit more depth on what their actual designs look like, and just some of the extra effects on like how their weapons would actually look and how different their weapons were to the normal turtles, and just seeing those turtles mess around in the new turtles layer was fun as well. And that led to probably the one serious moment of the episode, that being them the reunion with Splinter, because I was initially confused as to like, wait, what? How are they back here in New York? But then like I remember, like, no, they time traveled back in time 6 months, so um, their Earth still exists. It's just that the turtles are actually off in space somewhere else, dealing with this, but their planet is still there. Um, Now they roughly explain the whole idea of like that technically that means there are two sets of turtles um, on that planet, in that Splinter had said that the turtles had just left to patrol the city, but then these turtles arrived back and like they just missed it. So like there technically could have been a scene where there was like 12 turtles on screen at once if the original 2012 cast had come back. But they didn't want to confuse anyone with that. But I liked it, the way they did the scene with like Splinter and Leo talking, and Leo wanting and being basically just about to tell Splinter that, you know, we're kind of coming from like 6 months in the past, and this isn't the true present, and that something bad is about to happen, and kind of trying to warn him, but they're taken away by the plot of this episode, so they can't really do that. But just a moment of like, he can't really, Leonardo can't really look at Splinter without just seeing like Splinter stabbed by Shredder. So that was a pretty nice moment. They didn't go like all in on the like heavy emotion, but there are definitely some nice moments for sure with it. Um, then like the plot of the episode, I thought was kind of the weakest part. Like this whole, these dimensional bombs, and like uh, like original TV show Turtles, their Krang, coming up with this plan, working with Krang's subprime from the 2012 show, was a fun little interaction, and that like they were arguing so much that the other turtles just completely did what they needed to do, defeated everyone, and like had it all done. And again, making huge fun of how like just stupid of a villain the original Krang was, and that Krang's subprime, who himself is like an absurd and kind of stupid villain as well, um, he kicks the original Krang out of the dimensions and stuff like that. So I thought that was kind of fun, that just this episode really wasn't trying to take itself seriously at all, and that this team up wasn't a serious threat really. And even Krang subprime was just like, really, you were trying to destroy all of our dimensions, and it's this whole idea of like, your plan is so stupid. What dimension were you gonna live in like after you'd done all this? But yeah, they just very quickly, you know, some fight scenes happen. You know, they destroy the three things, and then they kind of go their separate ways. Little kind of goodbye scene between all the turtles, and then we end on just this note of the original turtles back in their universe. Something else comes through a dimensional portal, and it's the kind of space worm thing, and they're fighting it, and then someone from the inside of the space worm cuts it open and comes out, and it is Tiger Claw from the 2012 show. Now, because of the way this show airs and the kind of constant breaks it takes, it took me an extremely long time to even like have any idea as to what was happening here. Like, I still think I need to go back and like look through like a wiki or something like that to find out like, wait, because we're like 6 months removed from like the season 3 finale, we're like 6 months back in time. What is this referencing? Like, why is Tiger Claw in this thing compared to like when we saw him last? Like, was he like missing towards the very end of season 3 or what? Like, that was a kind of confusing moment for me in that like this show is so disjointed in how it airs. I didn't instantly like connect like, wait, where did we last see Tiger Claw? But like that doesn't actually count because the last time we saw Tiger Claw was present day, but we're actually like 6 months back in time now, and it's getting a little bit confusing here, and they're not properly explaining it now. At the same time, I don't fully know if we were meant to like treat that as like a serious continuity moment or just like a funny thing of like, hey, more dimensional issues and stuff like that. So, uh, interesting way to end the episode in that like, are we meant to take it as like a serious cliffhanger or just a fun little moment? I'm not fully sure. Maybe someone watching this review can tell me in the comments below what they're referencing with Tiger Claw coming back in that way, and how that relates to like the crazy time travel stuff and they're actually in the past and all of that stuff. But yeah, I think that's basically the review. Little odd timing, I think, on this episode to just like randomly like have this kind of referencing other turtle shows episodes, but at the same time it was pretty fun. It just, the timing was a little off because they start off this episode really seriously, like we can't sleep, we have to get the last part of the black hole generator, confirming that they have to get all 3 of them to destroy them, and then we just have like random fun with like 8 turtles. It's like, okay, like, priorities please, but you know, it was fun, absolutely. I just hope that next episode we really do properly get back to the plot. And then the final point I'll just make is about the scheduling. Like, we came back after a pretty long break for 1 episode, then took another week off, and now we're back. I think we're back for a couple of weeks now, but I just thought, like, why not just hold back the previous episode so you can air this following week, this one, and this one? Like, why air it so soon if you're immediately going to take another break? It's just a very disjointed way to watch the show. But yeah, that's been the review. As I said in the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on the review and the episode. Other than that, thanks for watching, and bye.